Okay guys, welcome back to Sunshine Customs. Been working on the Super B for a couple of days since I filmed anything, and I tell you, you always can expect, if nothing else, but to be surprised. You know, when you price this stuff, you've got to price it open-ended. You never know what you want to find when you start digging on these old cars. I was watching some of the other videos, Tommy Shoe, and I can really relate to you know, the dilemma of what they're doing, because it is so frustrating thinking that you've got a project that's a certain amount of work, and then as you get into it, you discover that there's, you know, sometimes maybe twice that much work to do. I was showing you a few days ago, I put the lower quarter on this side. I split it and pieced it right near that line hole. And the owner of this car had actually done some work to it. And as you can see, once I sanded the primer off, the top of this thing is just full of body filler. And when digging into that, doing a little welding here, yeah, look at that. Look what a mess. You know, that's work I hadn't anticipated. I thought, you know, the top of it, we were just going to, just like the rest of it, just get the paint off of it and get a good base down and get paint on it. So, you know, I have to wonder now, you know, what's under the rest of this. If it's got holes rusted in it, like that, and they intend to put a vinyl top on it, I promise you it will not stay. It'll blister, the paint will come off, it'll just be a terrible mess. And that's just the little surprises. Let me show you the big surprise. Put the hood on this thing so that we could you know, kind of adjust things out and figure out what our fit is going to be. And you can see the hood actually hits the fender on this side. We've adjusted it, evened it out across the cowl, tried to get the, you know, that seam on it straight, squared it with the car itself. So as we look at that, well, we've got a gap on this side. I can put my hand in, and we've got no gap on this side. And you can see the body filler from somebody else's work, maybe where it's fixed the other time. The other symptoms, you can see this body seam here is wide. And if we move right around to the other side of the car, well, this body seam is almost together. Actually, when you open the door, it does touch the fender. There's not room for the paint film between the door and the fender. So obviously this car has been hit. It's been in a wreck. It was hit on the passenger side, and it's knocked this entire front end, you can see, slightly to the left. The only way to get the panels to fit on this and look correct and it not be beating the paint off the fenders is to put it on the frame machine and pull it, straighten it back out. And you know, that's a couple of days of setup and work that I didn't anticipate. I'll show you something else. I got to digging on the body filler right here on this post, and you can see it actually has holes in it. I mean, it's just rusted away. You know, sometimes when you're working on this stuff, you've got emotional highs and lows. Some days you've just finished a project, you're coming to pick it up, you're going to get paid, you know, you're free from it, and it's great. You're happy, you know, I'm upbeat, and And then some days, you know, I leave the garage and go home, and man, I am just wore the hell out. I'm just beat with, you know, more work to do and more problems, and it's tough. I was out in the garage the other day, I was sitting there watching some YouTube videos, and my wife came in and she said, "Dave, why do you watch these things? You already know how to paint." You know, like I said before, I don't know everything. I'm always picking up, you know, little tricks. But the biggest thing I get from the YouTube videos and the garage guys is motivation. Sometimes, you know, some guys seem pissed off, and I can relate to that because I spend days in the garage pissed off. Some days, you know, they're upbeat. Like Tommy Shoe says, they're riding the happy train. Well, I can relate to that. Some days I get to ride the happy train. So really, what I get from those videos are some instructions, you know, some tech tips, but more than anything else I get from it, I get motivation. I watch these videos and I realize, hey, I'm not the only one that's going through this shit. I'm not the only guy that's, you know, spend all Sunday afternoon in the floor with a welding hood and gloves, and you know, it's my dad asked me one day, he said, "How do you stand? How do you tolerate doing that type of work?" And he said, "You gotta love it." And he's right, you gotta love it. You've got to really enjoy the satisfaction that comes from the finished product. The satisfaction for me that comes from, you know, doing something or restoring something that not just everybody can do. It makes you proud to do it. What can I say? I love it. Even the bad days. Hell, I love it. So, hang in there, guys. All right?